Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is going to be our second episode of the podcast, and we just have some things to announce beforehand. You want to, tell them?
Yeah, so it's no longer going to be CYO podcast. It's now going to be Salt and Light, and now we also have a YouTube channel for you guys to also listen to instead of Instagram, so you guys can listen from Instagram or YouTube.
Right. Okay, and for today's episode, we're going to be giving our testimonies. So we're just going to talk about kind of our conversion, or I guess our, growing up in the faith, and, what it means to us now, what the church means to us now as well. I guess I have kind of a similar story to Chelsea in the sense that we both kind of grew up going to church, or at least I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
She'll tell you.
Yeah.
Right? I grew up going to Catholic church. My parents, since I was super little, waking me up early every day, or every Sunday to go to church. And I also altar served when I was little, so, I served in the church ever since I was, 6 or 7 years old. So I definitely liked going to church. I definitely enjoyed it a lot, but I didn't really take the liturgy seriously. One, because I was little, and I just didn't really understand it. And yeah, so, growing up, I, went to church, served in church. I'd say around, 13th, 14th is when I, started kind of, not taking God seriously at all. When I was little, I would pray all the time with my dad and, pray before I went to bed and stuff. But when I got to around being, 13, 14, I kind of just drew away from prayer. I said I believed in God, and, I would go to church with my parents, but, I would kind of go forced. So, yeah, I kind of drew away, and I didn't really take my prayer seriously. And so, I wouldn't read my Bible. I hadn't read a Bible until I was probably last year. Yeah.
I think the same for me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Let me kind of start too.
Okay, yeah, I have the same kind of background as Pablo, but I went to a private Catholic school from even in preschool daycare. I was in a Catholic school, and so I kind of was in a bubble most of the time, and I just thought everyone had God and everyone prayed, and so I think as well as Pablo, I didn't really take it seriously. I went to church and everything, but I was kind of excited to go to church to go be with my friends, or to be with my friends, not the whole liturgy, communion, and stuff like that, which is horrible. But that's just as a little kid, I feel you don't really know the severity of everything, so it's kind of taken less serious. And so I remember there was a point where I was I'm in a bubble, because my mom, she would she asked me when we were going to school, she's like, Chelsea, do you know what religion you are? And I was like, Mom, on chapter 7, because that's what that was the lesson of our class.
Oh my god. Wait, actually,
yes,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
And she was like, no, you're Catholic. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, so whenever anyone asks you what religion you are, say you're Catholic. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't know there was a name to believing in God. I didn't know there was a name to praying and stuff like that. I thought that was something everyone did. And so I think that's the point where I started to think oh wait, this is not normal. This is God is not an everyday thing. This is not something that everyone has. And so I think that made me realize how much more of a weight God has, but I still didn't really take it seriously though. So yeah that's how I kind of grew up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel when we're all little, we kind of just want to go to church for our friends, which, I mean, that's not a bad thing. If you still want to go to church to see your friends, that's a good reason to go, but it's not the sole reason you should be going, right?
Yeah.
You want to go to church because you want to receive the Eucharist, and you want to be there to adore God and to praise Him. That's the reason we go to church. So I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's not the main focus, right?
Yeah.
And I think I had a similar experience when I was little. I always questioned why there were so many different religions. So I would hear being people being Muslim, and because growing up going just to public school, I didn't go to Catholic church. I did go to Catholic church for half a semester.
Oh yeah.
I went to CTR.
Yeah.
But I stopped going because I didn't really like it. But that was more of my fault, I just didn't really enjoy it. I was just used to public school, so yeah, just going to public school, I kind of saw everyone, people that believed in God, and people that went to church and stuff like that. So I just thought, everyone had their own religion, and they were all similar in a way.
Yeah.
I thought that everyone just prayed to the same God, and like, you know, they just had different ways of thinking about it.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So I didn't understand like the difference. And I guess, yeah, just when I started like when I like moved away to Colombia, I really just I wasn't like living as a Christian. We would say like I still, you know, followed my parents. You know, like they told me like, you know, not to drink, not to smoke, and this stuff, and you know, I would try not to, but I got like enticed into doing stuff when I was living there. And I wouldn't. I'm not blaming it on anyone. Like it was definitely my decision. I just wasn't taking you know God seriously in that relationship. And then, you know, I also started dating somebody at the time, so that wasn't like the best decision either. So yeah, I just felt like really distant from God. And when I came back to the U.S., you know, I started to look for things to fill like that, like, you know, like that hole in my heart. Like I was like desiring, you know, feeling loved. I was desiring like, you know, being at peace. And I wasn't finding that with my friends, even when I came back. Like, and not to say that my friends are bad. It's just I wasn't finding that like peace that you get from Jesus that I have now, thankfully. I wasn't finding it, you know, being with them. Like I wasn't finding it hanging out with them or filling it with like, you know, going to sports and, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that was the same for me too. I think growing up, whenever I got out of private school, I kind of left that. Like I think the private school was the thing that was pushing me to God and everything, and also like my family, we kind of left the church too. And so no one was kind of pushing me to it, and so I started to find like it's the same thing for you. Like I was looking for love. I was looking for validation. I was looking for more of someone to define me, because like I didn't really have anyone to define me. Like God, I feel like God at that time growing up, like I knew what defined me. I knew who I was. But then when I left the church and when I was going to public school, I kind of lost that. And I was looking for everyone to tell me who I was, or like, what do you think about me? I think I got isolated a lot from that too. I think I kind of digged myself up in a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was kind of hard. What was like the turning point for you?
Well, for me, it was kind of like what you said. Like I was trying to like fill it with like stuff of the world. I was, you know, I'd gone out to some parties. I had tried to live like that, you know, high school or whatever dream or whatever everyone has, you know, like living in the world, and like I'm not saying like I was doing horrible stuff. Like I definitely wasn't acting for God, but thankfully I still had my parents at home that were, you know, trying to form me to, you know, be the person that they, you know, the person that God would want me to be. But I think the turning point for me was just really like I got to a point where I was like showing up to school and I was feeling like really like sad. Like I was just not happy at all, and it was like dumb because I had like friends. I was, you know, I had made the basketball team last year. I had a lot of reasons to be like thankful, but because of my own like rejection of God, I was just feeling super like down like all the time. I didn't know what it was. I just thought like I had to do something with myself. Like, why am I feeling this way? So I don't know. My friends just started inviting me to some Bible studies, and I had some friends, some good influences that led me closer to Christ. And I was like, okay, like these people seem really good. Like they seem like they have everything going on like well. So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna give Jesus a shot. Like I'm gonna actually take it serious, because I was still going to mass at this time. Like I was still going to church every Sunday, still receiving the Eucharist. I wasn't going to confession, not gonna lie, because I didn't think it was important, or I knew it was important, but I didn't think it was serious like I do now. So I was still like receiving the Eucharist, but I wasn't like, I didn't know the significance of it, right? Like I didn't adore it. I didn't like really say like that's Jesus right there. Like let me like pray. Like let me take this mass seriously. Like I was just going because my parents want me to go.
Yeah.
And I guess the turning point was that like I needed something. I needed God. I needed God at that time, and He found me. He found me like when I really needed Him, and He touched my heart, and He gave me that desire to like read my Bible, to go to Bible studies with my friends. I guess I just picked it up from there, and I started realizing like, okay, if God is giving me this peace that I've been looking for, if God's giving me this love, how am I gonna respond? Like God's giving me all these graces, but I'm still like, I'm still trying to go out to parties. I'm still like trying to hang out, with my friends and do bad stuff. So like, what do I need to do? Well, I was like, okay, well, I know that drinking's wrong. I know that, smoking's wrong. I know that, like, not even that, just like talking about profane things, like just talking about things of the world all the time. Like, I know this is wrong. Watching certain movies, stuff like that. Like, okay, so that's what I need to start doing less of that, and then doing more of Jesus, because he's the one that's bringing me the peace. He's the one that, and like ultimately, like when I realized, like Jesus is the one that gave me everything, right?
Yeah.
So I know, sorry, I know I talked a lot, but
No,
go ahead.
No, I think that's the same for me. At the starting, you were talking about how, I forgot what you said, but I literally was like, oh, let me catch on to that.
Okay.
But I think that it was the same too with the Eucharist. That's what you were talking about, the Eucharist.
Okay.
I didn't see how significant it was. Like, I knew we as Catholics believed it was the true body and blood of Jesus Christ. But I never, I knew that, but, I never took it seriously. I never, really comprehend it. I was just like, okay, this is what we believe in. I know it's not a symbol, because, I knew that's, my aunt was always like, no.
That's
no,
not true,
that's not true. And I think my aunt was the one that really got me to, how you said you went to church, but you never, really followed the meaning of it.
Right.
And everything. That's also with my aunt. She would take me to all this stuff. She would serve at St. Elizabeth, and I would just go because she had to go.
Right.
And I was never, serious about it. And I was like, how we talked about it earlier, how, St. Elizabeth has such a reverence to it.
Yeah, it does, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. And I was just like, okay, so this is so reverent, this is so beautiful, it's so silent, you know? And I feel like we're always looking for, some chaos, some, noise.
Yeah.
And so when I saw, this silence, I was just kind of like, okay, wait, this is what I've been looking for.
Right.
I didn't know it was silence, I didn't know it was reverence, I didn't know it was God. But everyone looked so fulfilled, everyone looked so, full.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay, this is kind of what's pushing me. I think what pushed me the most was my grandma.
Okay.
And I don't even think she knew that she was helping me or pushing me at all. I think it was just how she was and how she lived was, so beautiful to me. So
virtuous?
Yes, virtuous. So basically, all she would do is, because she's a little old lady, and so so she would just sit down and read some Catholic books, religious books, or she would just go sit outside and smash a cardboard box and just sit on the concrete and just look up in the sky. And I would just be like, how is she? And she would just be there for hours, and she would just be looking, and she would be just praying, and I would just be like, okay, wait, how are you so content with silence and just with God? And I was just like, okay, so all these people are content with silence. I feel like that was the biggest thing for me. Silence and being at a peaceful time with God. I think that's what pushed me the most, because that's literally what I was wanting, and all these people look so full. My grandma was so satisfied by just silence and God. And so I think that's what really pushed me. I think and then the full turning point for me was whenever I got my whole family to go to church.
Okay.
And I think
that's amazing.
Yeah, and so I think right then and there, I took that entire mass so seriously. I was just trying to analyze everything and be like, okay, how, let me see, why does everyone love this? Why does everyone love mass? Why does everyone love the church? And I think that was okay, wow, there's so much meaning to this. Look at the Eucharist, when the Father raises it up, I'm like, and he bows down to it, I'm like, this is Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was just I think that was okay, this is where I am. I felt the most fulfilled that I've ever felt when I was looking for validation. I never felt that. My cup was always empty. Now I felt fulfilled. I felt full. I felt at peace. And so that's when I started to read the Bible and everything. And I think that's where I am at right now.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful what you said. It's the Eucharist is, for me now, is everything. Going to Mass to receive Jesus fully is just, it's so amazing. And I praise be to God that he changed our hearts, because I had a heart of stone, and really reading scripture too, reading the Gospels and seeing how what Jesus said is coming to fruition in my life. How you said about the cup, I'm pretty sure it's in the Gospels, how Jesus talks about you're, or the woman at the well, right?
Yes,
Samaritan woman, he's I'll give you water that will quench your thirst. You have water that, the water that you'll give me, it's gonna, keep giving you,
you're gonna get thirsty.
Yeah, you're gonna thirsty, but the water that I give, Jesus says, it will, fill your cup, it'll, not make you thirst again. And, that's kind of how I feel Jesus is working in my life now, is, he fills my cup and overflows me with, grace, with love, and, this grace and love that I've never felt before, a peace that I've never felt before, and that's truly, how Jesus has touched my life. And in turn, it's made me want to spread love to others, spread that love to others, and to anybody. I feel like I feel like if I'm not doing that, I'm failing God, right? Because like that's what He asks us to do. So I guess for me it's not just I was doing bad stuff and now I'm not. It's I was serving the world with myself, like, I was losing myself trying to, like you said, like fill it with a bunch of stuff, like always be busy, always be doing something. And like for me, when I was at times alone, like just in my room, I had no reason to be upset. I would feel like super like sad because I couldn't sit alone in silence and pray. I couldn't sit alone in silence and be happy and be like feel Jesus' love, if that makes sense. And now it's like I try to find those moments of silence. Like I try to find a go to adoration at least in the week, and I try to find time to pray and like, not always going out because I know that my prayer time's important. So I just feel like that's how Jesus has changed me. It's not just so much like I've stopped doing bad stuff. Like yes, that comes in part because of the love that I was touched by God. Like I don't want to do that stuff anymore because I know of the love that Christ gives me, and I don't want to not sin because I don't want God's wrath, but it's just I don't want to sin because I don't want to be detached from God.
Our camera overheated, so we had to let it cool down.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
We got it. We got it. I'm just gonna keep talking again, I guess.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about how you. I forgot. Sorry.
No. Okay. So I was talking about how. Yeah. Basically, the love that I like felt from Christ at that time, at that moment, like it almost like took away my desire to do the bad stuff, if that makes sense. Like it's not that I stopped doing the bad stuff and then I found God. It was more like God found me, and then it gave me the desire to stop sinning. He gave me the desire to like well, not like obviously I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not. I definitely am not. And I strive every day to be more virtuous and closer to Jesus, but He definitely took away from those initial worldly desires that I used to like struggle so much with giving up, because I had tried to do it by myself and I realized that I can't do it by myself. Like I need Jesus, and I truly did need Him, and He found me, and He showed me that love that I had been searching for. So I'm sure you had a similar experience.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to how you said how Jesus found you and how He loved you. And I think a lot of people think that you have to be perfect or you have to be at a right stage. No, but that's not true. Jesus finds you. Jesus is the one. Like I feel like some people are like, no, I'm so sinful right now. Like my world is filled with sin. No, you pray to Jesus. Go meet Him, and He will help you. Go find that relationship, and everything, all that sin will go away. All that that want of the flesh, it will go away. But that doesn't mean to say that you're gonna stop sinning fully. No. We're fallible humans. Like I have struggles sometimes where like I literally won't read my Bible for a week, or like I just fall back into sin, and it kind of takes some work to get back to where it was. And that's like the whole journey of it. And every single trial, every single like fall that you have makes you stronger. Right. And so I wanted to say that.
Yeah, like, I mean, in the Gospels you can read, like, Jesus never, like, all His friends, all His people He was around, none of them were perfect at all. They were all sinners, like, all of them were. There was not one person that didn't have a history or a bad, like, past. They were all, like, He chose people that were sinners to be around Him. And through His love and through His virtue and, through His sacrifice that He showed us on the cross, they completely changed and became virtuous saints. All of them. So it just goes to show, like, Jesus really came for us, for sinners. He didn't come to meet the perfect people, which there aren't. But He came for us, and like Chelsea said, I mean, every day it's striving to meet Jesus. Obviously it takes participation, but God will also bless you with with the I guess the virtues to let go of your detachment from sin, to let go of like your sinful desires. He'll take those away from you.
Yeah, and like Jesus came for the sick, not for the healthy.
For the healthy, yeah.
I think Jesus meets you at any place, and some people think that like also there's a big thing of like, oh, I'm trying to find Jesus, but I hear silence. Or like I don't feel Him reaching for me. But sometimes that silence is needed. So like sometimes like I like for a week I didn't feel God. I didn't feel any fullness. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what's happening? Am I doing something wrong? Am I not reading my Bible enough? Am I not praying enough?
Right.
But then whenever Jesus comes and gives you that love, it's valued more.
Right.
That silence is needed sometimes. So it's also a trial to see, are you going to stay with here? Are you going to keep going with your faith? Or are you going to go fall back into that sin? And then whenever Jesus comes and meets you in that silence, he goes in with the silence with you. And sometimes he goes in those trials with you, and sometimes you don't even know. And
how God's working in your life.
Yeah, there's so many blessings that we don't even know that are happening for us.
I think for me is one thing too is like, I heard it this morning. Bishop Barron I heard watching a video from him, and he was saying how God doesn't need our love. Like, God is the creator of the universe, and he doesn't need our love. Like, he doesn't need us to worship him. He wants us to. He desires our love. He desires that relationship for us, but he doesn't need it. We need him is the thing. We need God. And we do need him, and that's why Jesus came and sacrificed himself for us, because we were so sinful that there was no way we could pay our debts. There's no way we can pay our debts without Jesus. He's our only salvation. That's why I call him the Redeemer, because he redeemed us. Like, we are all sinful people. No one's safe. Like, no one's safe. Nobody's safe. No one's perfect. But because of Jesus' grace and his love and his suffering that he went through and died for us, and his resurrection, because of that, we are able to have eternal life with him, if we give our life to him, of course.
Yeah.
And like what you said, Jesus loves us unconditionally. Even the most sinner or, the most perfect person, he loves them equally. Like, we're all loved equally by God. And just because you're not feeling Jesus doesn't mean he's not there in the situation with you. Like, God's with you if you're feeling him and if you're not feeling him. If you're sinful or if you're unsinful at the moment. Like, God is always with you. He's always with you. Jesus is always with you. But it's just you participating in his grace. You participating in that love that he's showing us and really taking him serious, because he's always going to be there for you. He's always knocking on that door. But are you answering the door is the question. So that's just every day what you have to strive to do. And slowly but surely God will reveal his love and his grace to you in a way that a love you've never experienced before. And that's how I feel now every day. Every day I mean, I still have moments obviously where I feel I feel down, or I fall into the sin that I work so hard to, obviously that I worked hard with Jesus to get out of, because there's active participation.
Yeah.
But I wake up feeling fulfilled. I feel like I have a purpose. I have a purpose to serve Jesus, and I strive to do that every day, and he fills me in turn with love and with grace, and yeah, I honestly I wouldn't be the person I am now without Jesus' love, and nobody would. So I guess that's, I don't know, motivation, I guess, and it's also just I guess realistic to what God's relationship with us is.
We all fall into sin, but it's also we have to remember that sin is something that we can work on.
Right.
Father Mike Smith, I always listen to him all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
And he was talking about it takes 30 seconds of just silence and of meditation to get away from it. So yeah, what you said, active participation. We cannot rely just to say, to say it clearly. You falling into that sin is not gonna make you satisfied. It's not gonna fill up your cup, but it's God what's gonna fill up your cup. And sometimes we don't even think that. Sometimes we forget that, but we have to
Remember that.
Yeah, remember that this is what we're living for.
Mm-hmm.
Is for Jesus.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah. So I guess that's our testimonies. Chelsea's gonna share a small verse before we close out.
So I think this kind of sums up everything, relying on God. It's from Psalms, chapter 118, verses 5 through 9. Out of my distress, I called on the Lord. The Lord answered me and set me free. With the Lord on my side, I do not fear. What can man do to me? The Lord is on my side to help me. I shall look in triumph on those who hate me. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to put confidence in princes.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I know, it's one of my favorites.
David was cooking when he wrote that.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We'll be posting every Tuesday, like we said in the previous podcast. And yeah, you can find us on Salt and Light. And I'll
On
put
YouTube?
that on the YouTube
And then CYO
the CYO Instagram.
on Instagram. And yeah, spread the word. Stay close to Jesus and stay prayed up. And we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.